in the Big Orange.
Summit and Destiny have met 7 times before. Tonight is number 8.
And the Tennessee Volunteers are the SEC Tournament champions. It's been a long time coming. The last time Tennessee won this tournament was in 1979. But they've got another trophy to put in the trophy case at Thompson Bowling Arena.
The 2023 SEC champions, the Tennessee Volunteers.
Hit high in the air into left field. Stevenson circling in front of the fence into foul ground. He goes into the corner, makes the catch, and that's the ball game.
And the Volunteers will hold the trophy.
How much fun is this, man? God, I love it. High fly, deep right, and Tennessee walks it off.
The 2-2 to Denton.
Well hit, deep left field, it is gone!
For the win for the Volunteers. From 40. On the way, a knuckleball. He got it!
How much fun is this?
Man, Rocky Top, this is college football at its absolute best.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? It is Skylar and Michael. We're back with another episode of the Vol Fanatics Show. Skylar, how we doing today, my guy?
Doing great, man. This weekend has been just loaded with action, right? You got Tiger Woods making the cut. We ain't going to talk about what happened after he made the cut, but he made the cut, okay? You got the orange and white game. You had baseball. You had softball. I believe baseball is here at home this weekend. So, I mean, just so much going on this weekend. It's kept me busy, even though I've had an off weekend, but it doesn't feel like it. But, Michael, how are we doing, baby?
Yeah, we're doing great. As you mentioned, been a packed weekend of Vol sports. Man, we're looking forward to today, too, because we got another big announcement that we're about to bring in as well. But before we do all that, Skylar, you want to give a shout-out to our show sponsor?
Dang right. I want to give a shout-out to Chris Smith Insurance. So as a homeowner, Chris Smith was once let down by an insurance company. So he started one of his own, where instead of feeling like a big company is fighting against you, you'll know that your agent is fighting for you. Trust me, all insurance is not equal. You got to trust the Chris Smith Insurance Agency out of Oak Ridge, Tennessee. You can give him a call at 865-272-3387. Guys, if you don't know your agent, give him a call. Establish that relationship for when things go south. It will happen at some point. We hope it doesn't, but usually it does, and it's always great to have a plan for when it does. So, Michael, we got some exciting news. We've actually got a guest on the show today. It's for our segment 1. We're going to block that whole thing off for this guy right here. Do you want to introduce our show segment sponsor and then introduce him onto the show?
Yeah, we'll do that. So our first segment sponsor is Optimal Asbestos Services, your trusted environmental consulting firm in Knoxville, Tennessee. State licensed and insured, we specialize in asbestos air quality management for commercial buildings and homes. Contact Jeff Mole at 865-223-3297 or on the web at optimalasbestosservices.com. A big thank you to Jeff Mole and Optimal Asbestos Services for being our segment 1 sponsor. And Skylar, most of the people that watch us, they probably know this guy at least a little bit because he's in our comments all the time. We like to bring on Eric Boggs from the OHIO podcast. And Eric, how you doing today, man?
I'm doing great, guys. I tell you what, man, that intro's I get you pumped up. If I wasn't a fan of the Buckeyes, I might have to join you in that orange color there. That's a pretty good intro.
That's the whole goal.
We've been blessed and also cursed with the Tennessee program. But here the last 5-6 years, man, we've had some pretty wild and exciting games for really all 3 major sports here at Tennessee. It's been pretty special.
Hey, anytime you guys want to beat Alabama and take down the goalposts, I'm all for it.
It's not really tearing them down. It was the surfing of the post going out the stadium. That was probably the highlight moment right there. 100%. But you guys are used to winning. Y'all don't have crazy excitement stuff like that at Ohio State. You guys, at least the football program is always really in contention for the playoff, whether it was 4 teams and now it's going to be at 12. It's almost a given. I mean, you hate to kind of go out on a limb like that, but man, Ohio State, even though they've had that trouble with the team up north here the last several years, but still a really solid program. And really that's the only negative thing about the program here the last several years.
Yeah, that's a negative I don't like to talk about.
Exactly. I'm sure.
But it's the expectations this year are through the roof. It's natty or bust. I mean, that's where we're at, right now in Columbus, Ohio. So
Air's getting some love on the stream right here.
Yeah, I appreciate you tuning in today, man. That's awesome there. But so the big announcement that we had coming in here is the College Huddle that we have been teasing for about the past 2, maybe 3 months now is officially live as of Tuesday. And Eric, you and JR from the Big Ten Huddle, now the College Huddle, as well as Chris from the Bowler Express podcast, were the big catalyst in this. Y'all were all a part of the Big Banter Sports Network before this, correct?
correct.
Of course, I know a little bit of backstory there, but so you don't have to go into all that. But what was y'all's goal behind leaving Big Banter and starting up the College Huddle here?
So we just felt like there needed to be something that was more positive and collaboratory as far as bringing people together to help one another and help build one another's brands. And we felt that there was a way to go about doing that without creating a network that was more aligned to what we were a part of. And so we got together and we started talking about what we would create and what it would look like if we decided to go down that route. And the College Huddle was kind of birthed from those conversations. And it really is threefold. We wanted something where we wanted someplace where we could all collaborate to not only help one another, but we wanted a place that was positive and would be a place of encouragement for everybody. And we wanted a place where we could educate one another. And so that if your guys are doing something that I like that looks good, you would educate me on how you did that so I could improve my show. And so it was very collaborative in that aspect. And the idea of everybody being on level ground, because we were all podcasters and content creators to begin with, I think really resonated with everybody, because there wasn't one single person that was going to be like, I'm taking over, this is mine. It's all of ours. And so that spirit of independence and autonomy, the freedom of the autonomy to say, hey, we're a unique show, we're going to do it this way, and there's no one that's going to tell me how to do that. But at the same time, I watch, I like it, and then you can share with me how you did that, was something that resonated with a lot of people. That was kind of the genesis of the College Huddle.
Yeah, and I feel like that we've really already, even before the Huddle launched, we've seen a lot of this. I mean, we collaborated with Jay Hayes from Religiously Kentucky. We did a baseball thing with Blake from the Up Tempo podcast. You've been on numerous podcasts already of some other schools, and there's been many within the Huddle that have just they say go ahead and do collaborations and try to figure out some things to help build their brand as well. So it's already off to a great start, in my opinion, of what the original goal was.
Yeah, it got like everybody was ready to go as soon as they would join. They were ready to rock and roll. Like, we kind of kept saying, hey, we're going to launch this at a specific date. Okay. And it just kept blooming, if you will, kept getting larger behind the scenes. And so when we launched on Tuesday, we had 68 podcasts at that moment. And then the very next day, 2 more joined after they saw the launch. So we're at 70 podcasts right now. And our goal when we initially started was 10. So we blew that out of the water pretty fast. Our goals originally were 10 podcasts when we launched, 1 from every conference come football season. We blew past that in like February. So
I think a testament to that, sorry to cut you off, is you guys do so well behind the scenes as well. Like, you're not just telling us or telling the podcast that you're recruiting, hey, this is what we're looking to do. Being a part of it, we're seeing what you're doing, right now to work towards that goal in the future. And The communication's been strong. I mean, we've got us all together, I guess, in this big old chat, and helping keep everybody updated. I know some people hate how many notifications it is, but it's also kind of nice to know. Like with us, man, we utilize the SEC a lot more than the other conferences just because that's the teams that we face, right? But utilizing, hey, knowing when this guy, because you kind of learn each person's schedule after a little while, when they go live, if it's going to work with yours to collaborate, because like Michael said, man, we've been able to collaborate with a couple people, and we look forward to collaborating a lot more down the road, especially in football season when it comes to other. You'll like this one. Will just joined the show. This is my father, by the way. He's from Columbus, Ohio. So I told you he was Ohio State fan. So it runs
I can
deep.
answer that for you, boys, if you don't know how to answer that.
Oh, it's IO, baby.
That would be an IO.
That's
okay?
right. That's right. So trust me, I grew up around it.
Funny story, Skylar, with that. So the podcast I run is called the OHIO podcast. And did you know that Ohio State apparently owns the rights to that chant? So when we used to say we're the OH exclamation mark IO exclamation mark podcast, and I got a cease and assist letter from the university. So I took it, hey, at least they know who I am, right? So
no, I mean, hey, any publicity is great. I mean, that's what it's all about. Funny story, very much related to that, is we kind of got hit with, but it ended up being spam, but Facebook kind of marked us with like some type of copywriting deal, but it ended up being a whole like fake account. They were trying to pretend to be the Beta Suite business app or whatever. So we did some research, and it ended up being spam, but man, I was nervous. Like I was shaking. I'm like, man, we didn't do anything wrong. I didn't think, like, everything we've been doing is by the book. Like,
even as far as our graphics go, we've been making our graphics ourselves. So we're not just sitting here taking something that the university is doing. So we're like, what's going on here?
Yeah. So that is a funny story, but no, I sent him a text as soon as we went live. I was like, hey, we got a guy from Ohio State in here. You got to come check it out. And so we appreciate him tuning in. But no, about the College Huddle, what it started and what it's becoming and what it's going to be. Do you have any idea how this could really not just change how people listen or watch podcasts, but how it changes us for the everyday small streamer just wanting to talk sports? How's that going to help everybody else to listen?
Yeah, so that's really a loaded question. So when we just launched, like, we couldn't have asked for a better launch. Now, we've had a couple hiccups, but that's to be expected. And when you do something on this scale, there's always going to be those little hurdles that you're going to have to climb over. And so, but we couldn't be more thrilled with the fact that we launched a commercial that reached 77,000 people, and we didn't even pay a dime. Well, that's not true. We paid $30 for the voiceover. That's it. That's awesome. All we did. And it reached 77,000 people in the first week. So, and it might even be higher than that. Yeah. I haven't checked it in a while.
And actually, Eric, not to cut you off again, but I do have the video right here. I can play it for the folks real quick.
Let's do it.
I'm going to say it's finishing uploading. So
now, did you pull those numbers from the Twitter? Or is that like from all? Okay, because I was going to say, because we shared on TikTok. So, I mean, a lot of times that number could even be way higher just from.
Yeah, it might. I know nothing about TikTok, so you guys will have to help me.
No, fair enough.
But I know that's just the Twitter numbers from the original tweet from JR's page, which is the College Huddle.
That's awesome.
Twitter account. So, and that's kind of been the bulk of what we've ended up using as far as social media to kind of reach out with things. But yeah, we have a much larger Facebook community on our side of the podcast than we do on Twitter. And so we placed it there too. So I don't even know what all those numbers would be. So we could probably say easily, I would say somewhere over 80 to 90,000 or more.
Yeah, I think easily.
Yeah, and that's with no money spent. That's just grassroots. And so the launch has gone good. And so there's two things we wanted to focus on, Skylar, here this summer. After the launch, we want to focus on our website or the written content, and we wanted to focus on the YouTube channel or the visual content. And on that side of things, JR kind of runs that side of things. I run the written content or the Facebook side of things, or the website side of things, excuse me. And we, So that's kind of covering those two areas of fan bases, if you will. Now, where it goes from there, I mean, if our plans work out, by the time we get to football season, we will have created a community, a very strong community of not only podcasters and content creators, but hopefully we are creating a community of people who enjoy what we've made and the content we put out, and we're able to offer them a place to go to receive this content. So not that we're trying to compete with any other particular type of college football site, but we are, let's be honest.
Right.
And what makes us unique, Skylar, is no one has available out there what we have. We are the largest independent podcast community for college sports in the country. Nobody has that. There are some that are larger, but here's the difference. They are owned by a corporation. They are owned by a company somewhere, a media company. And a lot of the people they have working for them, to be completely honest with you, don't even particularly enjoy the team or school that they're covering.
Right.
Every single person that runs a podcast at the College Huddle is a diehard for their school.
I think that's key. I think that speaks volumes because I mean, I know Michael. I really haven't been doing my part on this side, but y'all been actually, boots on the ground recruiting these type of podcasters to join the College Huddle. Y'all are going out and finding these smaller streamers that just love their team. They bleed their colors, and no matter what they want to put on for their campus and their community. And that's how we've been able to get up to 70 strong now. Is you're going out finding these shows via YouTube, Facebook, I'm sure there's Spotify, Apple Podcasts, whatever. You're going out and finding these broadcasters and bringing them in. And it's really that, I think that's what builds the community even stronger. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So that's where we're at, to go back to your initial question. That's where we're at, where we're going to. So our goal is to get up to 100 Division I schools by football season. I think that's an achievable number. It's going to be a little bit more difficult as we move forward. And the reason being is believe it or not, there are some Division I schools that just don't have an independent podcast.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They might have something from like On3 or 247 Sports or something like that, but they don't have some fan jumping on his laptop and recording a podcast. So
talking ball, baby, that's what we do.
Yeah. So we're gonna either have to discover or create those people.
Right.
Yeah, which I think is very doable. But I do have the video up now, so I'll play the ad that played on Tuesday when we officially launched.
In this new era of college football, where old-fashioned media just won't cut it, I'm proud to present a new voice for college football fans, the College Huddle, your number one source for fan-driven college podcasts.
I love them. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing that you were about to. Love the map right there. Our friends from the Paws Up podcast that are in the group, since he has entered, he has been updating this map every time we get a new podcast in, and it just amazes me whenever we look at it, just the skills that he has. That's another one of those things that you're talking about. He's got those skills, and that's something that people like us would love to just talk with him and be like, hey, can you tell us a little bit more about how you do this, or maybe show this a little bit more just so it can help us?
Yeah, I think to your point, that's another thing that I love about this community that we're building here at the College Huddle is, yeah, we're podcasting for our teams, but behind the scenes, man, we're willing to help anybody. If we're having issues uploading a certain thing or trying to do a certain overlay or trying to use what software to use. I mean, let's be honest. A lot of these people are so brand new at it. We were brand new in September last year, right before football season. I think is when we started this thing, Michael, right? And man, we were sitting there. Yeah, I was gonna say we were sitting there like searching what software to use. We didn't know where to go with it. And the College Huddle has made that very easy via the chat that we're in Discord or whatever. We can say, hey, what's working for you guys? What's the best, thing for what we want to do versus how much we want to spend. And everybody's just willing to help out. And I think that in turn is going to make it even easier getting us up to 100, as long as we can find those fans out there that are willing to rep their school and willing to take that leap, honestly. Because, I mean, in a way, you got to be held responsible for something. Like, you got to have some sort of schedule, whether that's once a week like me and Michael do. If you're a little bit more diehard, you go 2 or 3 times a week. That's fine. But just somewhat, you got to get that content out there, but be willing to help. And I think right now, with what we're seeing, everybody's willing to do that. And I think that's making this community really strong.
It is an incredibly strong community. And as the main recruiter, Michael's helped out some with that, and I appreciate that, Michael, as well. There's been times I've thrown podcasts his way, said, listen to this, tell me what you think. We've actually been pretty selective.
Yeah.
Like we've not just jumped on every, are they a warm body or not? Like we've looked for people who have not only a fandom for what they're doing, but they also are people who would fit within the community that we built. They're willing to participate, or they have a unique skill set that they bring to the table. You look at some of our board members. We have a law enforcement agent. We have a lawyer. We have a farmer. Like, we got different people from different backgrounds, but they all bring something that's unique to the table that is able to be utilized and expressed in some form or fashion. We just never know when we're going to need that lawyer, right? So it's good to have him available. But what I'm getting at is the fact that, there were some times that there were podcasts that I didn't feel it. We just didn't see. Maybe it was how they came across in some of their episodes, or they were just incredibly boring to listen to, or you name it. Like, there were some that we were like, they're not going to fit here. So I can personally attest, as somebody who's listened to way too many podcasts over the course of the last 5 months, each and every single one of these 70 shows is worth your time.
It's quality content.
Yeah, absolutely. So, quick question here, just talking about some of the selections, and you can go ahead and answer that one, Eric.
That's the Ball Fanatics show, obviously. I mean, come on.
We're not Big Ten.
That's not Big Ten. That's not Big Ten.
Oh, he said, "What's my second favorite Big Ten?" Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I see it.
You better not say Purdue. You better not say Bullet Ring.
Yeah, Dylan knows how much I love that man. He's become a good friend of mine. Funny story is, Purdue, Dylan will tell you he hated all Buckeye fans. He lives in Southwest Ohio, and he's like the only Purdue fan there, and so he gets inundated with the best of Buckeye Nation, you can say. And he was like, I hated it until I met you guys, and we've become really good friends. And so, yeah, the Ohio podcast, or the OHIO podcast, and the Boiler Express podcast were the OGs. We were the 2 originals, along with JR, who runs the College Huddle YouTube channel. He was running the Big Ten Huddle at the beginning. That was his brand. That was his show, which is where the name came from. We just expanded his name from Big Ten Huddle to College Huddle, and then we created the SEC Huddle, the ACC Huddle, the Big 12 Huddle, and the Group of 5 Huddle, which is going to probably become multiple huddles as well when those conferences expand and everything else. And so, it was basically us 3 that got together, had a conversation, and you guys were on pretty early.
I think we were the 7th or 8th ones. And the question I was actually going to ask you is, how did you come across us? I mean, I know we did a little bit of a bowl preview, did bowl picks back earlier, and I posted each of those separately on YouTube. And I noticed that's where you first commented, but how did you run across us?
So I was just doing a general search of the different SEC schools and came across your guys' YouTube videos. And I noticed you were both wearing Tennessee stuff, but you were talking about another bowl team. I was like, what's going on here? So I had to do some digging. And so when I did some digging, I found out, okay, you guys do more than just, you're breaking up your videos into like basically previews. And I thought, but here's the thing: is you guys had good chemistry. You were charismatic, and I'm like, these guys might work for Tennessee. And so there are some really big Tennessee podcasts out there.
Oh yeah,
yeah, there are.
Big.
Trust me, we know.
Yeah. And what's kind of unique is, and kind of what I like about this is, I'm not saying we don't have some big ones. We got some big dogs in this huddle. There are some big dogs. But what I like about it is we want hungry dogs. Hungry dogs become big dogs. To take a quote from the old football coach from Ohio State, John Cooper. He used to say, if a freshman's going to be a dog, he'll bite as a pup, meaning you can play him as a freshman. And that's kind of what we were looking for in podcasts. We were looking for hungry podcasts, good content. They're charismatic. They were entertaining, but they could grow, and we wanted them to grow with us. And so that's how we came across your show and reached out to you and struck up a conversation and a relationship. And you guys come on my show and chime in every now and then, and I love it. That's always great to see Buckeye fans when a Purdue guy, a Tennessee guy, and a Missouri guy all pop in the show and make comments. They're all like, what?
Yeah, what's going on here? So, yeah,
I'm not gonna lie, I was pretty sour when I joined the show because it was fresh off our Purdue loss and wasn't feeling too good, but it's all good. It's all good. It's basketball. We are not a basketball school, okay? It's just a plus when we make it past the Sweet 16. So, but it's also nice when Kentucky doesn't make it past the first round, but that's personal. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to go there. We really do appreciate that you came across us in that way. It warms, honestly, our hearts a little bit, because sometimes you have those weeks, man, when you're podcasting and you don't know if it's really working, if the algorithm's just not pushing you out, right? Like, and you're sitting here and, you do hours of prep work before the show, kind of producing. And then on top of that, hours after the show, cutting some videos, trying to upload them, edit them up. And you do all that work for, 2 viewers. And by all means, I will do it every week because that's how much I love the university and that's how much I love talking ball. But to hear your story and the fact that you just kind of generalized the search, and as you mentioned, there are so many Tennessee podcasts out there, and yet we were the one that stuck out. I think that kind of it hits that motivation factor to just keep going, right? And that's what I think the College Huddle is making it easier for us to now, not just for us, not just for Tennessee and our fandom, but now we have something bigger to represent, and I think that's going to help us in the long run.
Yeah, and it's funny because you brought up the scenario doing this for 2 views. So our background personally as an Ohio State podcast is a little different. Much like Tennessee, Ohio State podcasts they're dime a dozen.
Yeah.
Right.
Hundreds of them. Okay. And there are some huge media podcasts out there. And then there's a lot of little guys. And we were swimming in that little pond, man. A big pond, little fish in a big pond. We were swimming in there for years. And we got up to where we had a really loyal listener fan base on the audio side of things. And I met John Kennedy from the Always Irish podcast. So he's a Notre Dame guy. Struck up a relationship with him. And he started working with me on the YouTube side of things. And that's when things took off for us. So when we started YouTube a little over a year ago, it was not good. It was not pretty.
It's not, man.
He joined my show as a host. And when he did, he came on as a guest, and all his followers, and he's got 10,000 of them. So all his followers jumped on the show, and it just sent my show through the algorithm out to so many more people who discovered us simply by him taking the time to come on. And then our show numbers started to grow. And I realized at that point the power of collaboration.
Hang on just a second. I'm shooting a DM to John Kennedy real quick.
No, you're absolutely right. The more, and I think that's why College Huddle is really got such a high ceiling, because it makes collaboration that much easier when you have kind of like a common icebreaker sense of I don't know, like something that you can relate with. Now we can contact any of these people that are within the College Huddle and we already have some similarities. We already have the same drive. We're in the same community. It makes it that much easier to get their email or to just send them a private message and to kind of kickstart that collaboration rather than just doing what you guys were doing and just searching a random podcast and trying to make something happen. Right. And so that's what I really love, getting the opportunity to join something like this and hopefully utilizing it to our fullest potential to maybe not just grow our channel, but to grow the College Huddle as a whole.
Absolutely. And it will grow. It's going to grow.
Absolutely.
I don't know how big it's going to get because I don't like putting expectations on something when you really just don't know what it's going to be like. But I know this much. We've got some very intelligent and hardworking people behind the scenes who are invested in it. And that goes really far because when it comes down to success on this side of things, you just got to be willing to grind. And we got some grinders, man. Someone who no one knows, Garrett Webb, works with me. He's our web developer. He told me, I said, Garrett, the website that we built and the time we put into it, how much would you typically charge somebody for that? And when he told me the number, I about fell out of my chair. Mm-hmm. And I was like, and he did this without asking really for a penny, just whatever you could offer. Love offerings, all he had charged me for it. And if you go to the website, it's legit. Like we got some things we need to work on and make better, but it looks nice.
It looks awesome. I love the dark mode, right? Like as a Tennessee fan, we have the black jerseys and we call it dark mode. And that's kind of the theme that you have on the website as well. Very easy to the eyes, kind of popping for each of the logos. But we got Tennessee Football 247 joining us. What's going on the YouTube? We appreciate you tuning in. We're here with Eric Boggs from the College Huddle. He also runs the OHIO podcast. He's joining us to kind of help kickstart the launch of this awesome community. And as Michael's going through, you can kind of see how they've got the different, conferences up there. And from there, you can go to the state.
Michael,
obviously,
go to SEC, go to Tennessee, man. Yeah, no one cares about Ohio State on your show. Go to Tennessee. Actually, no. Go back to your Tennessee. Go to the SEC and hit Tennessee because I have it updated. So if you go up to your SEC,
and then it's got our links right there to all
our links down here.
Yep. So that's how easy it is to get to any of our socials, right? You just go to SEC, go to the Tennessee podcast, and it's if my memory serves me correctly, it's kind of like team exclusive. You only have one podcast per team, right?
So if you go real fast, Michael, go up to the SEC link and go down to Tennessee and click on Tennessee.
All right, yeah. Tennessee.
Yep. I don't know if you guys have even seen this yet.
Oh, okay. Got the schedule up there.
So
that's a beautiful site. That's a beautiful site, right?
Okay. By the way, I got to go to a game, man.
Dude, I know the Horseshoe is awesome. I've never been there, but I know the Horseshoe is historic. But there's quite nothing like the Coliseum that is the Neyland Stadium. It is awesome. And
is it true that it's one of only 3 stadiums in the country you can drive a boat up to?
Yes, I will be driving mine in the fall.
All right, dude. All right. When that happens, I might have to make a trip to Tennessee and get on the boat with you.
Yeah, I will be pulling up. I've got the flag that says Vol Navy, brother. Some of the big games, man, you'll realistically have to take your boat. If you got a decent sized boat, you'll have to take it on like a Tuesday or Wednesday. There's people here that actually hire captains that'll drive their freaking house cabin, their yacht, whatever, and they have to bring it up almost a week early just to get a decent spot there on the river, just to have a decent location. But we also have a restaurant. It's called Calhoun's on the river. That's kind of like the big party deck right there. But man, there'll be boats that just tie up. I mean, from the dock out, you'll have one boat that's got a dock spot. And then you'll have about 30 boats wide that'll just kind of tie up to each other. And so people either have to swim or just kind of keep crossing other people's boats to get to the dock. It's something special, man. It is very cool. And Tennessee, in general, is kind of lucky because, if you are an NFL fan, I'm not a big one, and the Titans have kind of really taken a left turn, but you got the Tennessee Titans that are right there off the river. And then you got Neyland Stadium right there off the river. And I'm pretty sure Memphis is not too far off the river right there at the Mississippi River. So, man, almost all the big college towns here or sports towns right next to the Tennessee or the Mississippi. It's pretty special. Tennessee fans are very lucky. Let me put it that way.
Yeah.
So
that's cool, man. That's cool. So the website it's going to be continued to be updated. You'll notice all the articles there that and all the articles are written by you guys. It's the podcasters. So and then if you go to back to that Tennessee page, Michael, when you guys write an article or you have an article for Tennessee, we're hopefully going to be able to link that to your Tennessee page. So if you scroll down, you'll notice that it's not there yet, but that's where your Tennessee articles will also be kept forever, right? So when you add them, they'll be there forever in your Tennessee page. And if you just click on the SEC without clicking down on it, just straight up click on the SEC, all of the SEC relevant articles are there as well. So everything is tied together. Everything is there. Yep. So that's the article that will be generated onto the Tennessee page eventually. But everything is right there for all of you guys. And hopefully we can continue to add to this side of things and then tie in real nicely with the YouTube channel with what JR is doing. So we create a real cohesive, powerful website and social media side of things for everybody. And then Discord will be added to this very soon. You guys brought up the Discord. This will be a whole nother area that fans can get involved with, not only with you guys, but with other SEC fans as well. And so the community will grow and will be very, very strong, hopefully by football season. And then from there, we'll just see where it goes, guys. When we get it to where I want to get it to, my first call will be to Dr. Pepper, because I think Fansville and the College Huddle, those two things, I think
ice cold here.
be married very, very well.
No, absolutely. Well, we appreciate, man, everything that you guys are doing behind the scenes to really kick this thing off, because really y'all were the start, and without you guys, we wouldn't be where we are today, and neither would the other 69 other podcasts that have joined. And thanks to y'all knew probably that this was going to get a little bit too big to handle, so y'all were proactive. Y'all got a board going, and now you're starting to get some engagement from other podcasts that are kind of taking on that leadership role. Michael's done a great job with it. I've sucked at it, but I'm trying my best. But no, I really love what you guys have done, and I just can't show my appreciation anymore for what you guys have done for us.
Well, thank you, Skylar. That means a lot. Those are kind words. And I've ridden Eric's coattails. That's not true. That's not true at all. No, that's not true. Dylan is the man. But I appreciate that very much, Skylar. And I want you guys to know you guys were a very intricate part of what we were building. Thank you for believing in our vision very early and getting on board and promoting what we were doing behind the scenes as well. I know, Michael, gosh, you've spent a lot of time, just messaging back and forth with you and I, trying to make sure that we had things in place for the SEC. And we're almost there. We got 13. I think everybody but Vanderbilt will probably be in soon. Vanderbilt.
Oh, little brother. Come on, little brother.
Well, see,
Come on now.
Bad thing is, and we've talked about this off the air, man, there's a really good Vanderbilt podcast that just won't answer us back. So I would love to have them come on.
Too good for us. All right.
No. We gotta get them Commodores somehow, man. I don't know, but
you know what's crazy is Vanderbilt's actually got one of the best all-around baseball programs ever. Every year, year in and year out, and you would think we could find somebody that would, even if it's just baseball, right? We can maybe convert them over to football at some point. But I tell you what, man, Vanderbilt got put through the ringer when James Franklin left for that Penn State job. That was rough. That was tough on them, and. But as a football fan, we've all been through something like that, right? Like, 2009, Lane Kiffin leaving us after he was supposed to be our savior when Philip Former was gone. But, I mean, it's tough, man. But Vanderbilt will find its way. I mean, something about history is, teams will find a way. Now, I'm not saying they're going to win a natty or anything, but they'll be relevant again, I think, soon. Probably not. Anyways. But anyways, man, Eric, I do want to talk a little football, man. Did y'all just have y'all spring game as well? Saturday?
Yeah, that's why I'm all red today.
That's right. That's what I wanted to kind of get your thoughts, man. Obviously the expectations are high. It really is championship or bust. So I'm not really going to ask you that type of question. That's too easy. All right. I don't want to be that soft, but Who are some of the the names that maybe us general fans that maybe watched a game or two last year? Who are some of the names that are not the popular, maybe the up and rising stars that you think is going to make a big difference here at Ohio State? Now, I'll say for starters, the quarterback position, I believe, is kind of taking a change, right? Or are y'all keeping the same quarterback from last year?
So Will Howard came from Kansas State.
That's what I figured.
And Devin Brown is back from last year off injury. I believe Will Howard's going to get the starter. I don't think you paid him to come off of that, without giving him at least the initial opportunity. But Devin Brown is a gamer, dude, and he's not letting this thing go easy. We got Julian Sain to transfer from Alabama, the 5-star recruit that decided he wanted to be a Buckeye after Nick Saban retired.
Y'all got another one, the defensive back, didn't you? The rising star,
Caleb Downs.
Caleb Downs. Thank you.
Led the Crimson Tide in tackles last year as a safety, and of course, and I'll be honest, yesterday he didn't. Of course, their spring ball is the ones are thud.
Don't put too much stock in it. Yeah,
right. But he wasn't like, you weren't like, oh, there he is, and he just stuck out to you. Our cornerbacks are legit.
Yeah,
like both of them probably could have went pro and they came back, and we are too deep at every defensive back position. But you asked for some names that people might not know who might flash this year. I really like CJ Hicks at linebacker. He was a former 5-star recruit out of the state of Ohio, and for 2 years has just been buried on the depth chart. And he's getting a chance to play this year, and he is extremely athletic. He's going to be living in the backfield, I think. So that's one on defense that people may not have heard of that I think you need to be aware of. Offensively, I really think you should be aware of Jeremiah Smith. 5-star, number 1 freshman, number 1 recruit in the entire country. We had to basically outbid Miami and Florida State for him when it all came down to it. He decided to come, and here's what's scary. Out of all the great wide receivers we have had recently, you've had Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, Jackson
Egbuka,
Smith, Emeka Egbuka is still on the team this year, and now Marvin Harrison Jr., who will be going in the first round, probably in the first 5 to 6 picks in a couple weeks, the NFL draft. All of those guys before them, Michael Thomas, was a big name. Gosh, I'm even forgetting some guys that have gone pro.
Y'all consistently put 1 to 2 guys in the draft very high.
Yes, at wide
every
receiver.
year.
You're right.
Every year.
Jeremiah Smith's better than all of them.
Ooh.
And
I think I heard y'all talking about this the other day.
It's not even a debate, guys. Like it's to the point where even the coaches are like, well, the hype train's left the station. He's that good. Wow. And that's what's awesome. Scary. I mean, when you think about it, because you've got first round draft pick Emeka Egbuka on the roster. He had a great one-handed catch yesterday that was sick on the sideline. But Jeremiah Smith is just built different. He's just massive.
Does he kind of have like that AJ Brown type body build, but like just crazy fast as well? I mean,
yeah, he's just you're like, this guy does this best and this guy does that best. Like Jeremiah Smith does all of that best.
Wow.
Like he's not human. We've given him the nickname Optimus Prime already, and he hasn't played 1 game at Ohio State. Okay,
that's awesome.
I know this will be hard, but if there was a weakness in his game, what would you say that weakness would be?
Experience.
That's experience. Hey, that's the best weakness to have, because all that's going to do is that experience is going to grow the more that he plays.
I mean, I don't know. Eventually this year, he will run up against a cornerback who's going to test him physically and probably mentally. And you guys know what I mean by that.
He's going to have a senior cornerback at some point go up against him and not really be afraid of the fact that he's good, but try to leverage the fact that he's just so much older than he is to try to knock him off his game. Yeah, I completely understand where you're coming from on that. So, but no, that's exciting news, because Tennessee has kind of finally dipped their toes in the water on some of these highly touted wide receivers, in which we were battling Ohio State for one a couple years ago. Unfortunately, lost that battle, but we've got a guy as well, a 5-star, Mike Matthews, who kind of flashed in our spring game. Now, I'm not going to say that he's the greatest thing of all time that's come through the program, but I do think he's got a very high ceiling. But I am afraid that he's going to be buried in the depth chart his first year. We've just got too many talented transfers that have came in the last couple of years. And on top of that, you got like a 6th-year senior in Brew McCoy who's coming off injury, who's going to be a dog this year. I really do believe that. But the fact that you guys, even despite the talent at wide receiver that I know y'all have still, and you're telling me this kid is going to be way better, that has got to be exciting for some Ohio State fans.
It's scary. It's
oh, yeah.
Very scary. And here's the other thing, too, is in anybody who watches my show, I have dogged the offensive line for 3 years. Like I have rode them, like put a saddle on them. I have rode them on this show. They actually looked good. The first string offensive line looked good yesterday. Like they were holding up to the blitz and they were giving the quarterback time and they were making some really nice holes in the running game, which they haven't done consistently at all the last 3 years. And so I think this has a lot to do with Chip Kelly. I think Chip Kelly's running schemes are very unique.
I think that was a key hire in the offseason. That's crazy to be able to pull a head coach.
He came out and the first play they ran was the wing T.
Really?
Awesome.
What? That's some old school stuff right there.
We were all like, what is happening? It was, he just came out in the T formation, was like, check this out, guys.
No, he was just messing with the fans at that point.
We all thought so until afterwards. He said it's going to be a part of our red zone package because we have both Travion Henderson and Quinshon Judkins in the same backfield.
I forgot about that pickup too, man.
How you going to stop both? And I was like, that is a beautiful answer. That is music to my ears.
Man, I'm telling you, with the coaching hires and the recruiting portal pickups, y'all need to be thanking the donors there at Ohio State. That is insane. I mean, like, where are they getting this type of stuff, man? This is insane.
Well, give a big thank you to Lane Kiffin too for not keeping him, because I mean, dude has led the SEC, or he was second in rushing this past year, I believe, to Cody Schrader. I mean, dude has been in the top of the SEC in rushing in his first 2 years, and Lane Kiffin was just like, I mean, we don't have the money to keep you. And here,
Ole Miss doesn't. It doesn't matter if Lane Kiffin wanted to keep him. I mean, Ole Miss don't have the pockets that Ohio State has. There ain't no way.
But you look at some of the other guys that they kept instead of him, as well as some of the guys that they brought in, and that's where I'm going with it. And then Ohio State's just like, come on, we got you.
So there's a running joke around Columbus that there's, how when you get a couple recruits from the same college or high school, it's a pipeline.
Yeah.
Our pipeline to the SEC has been Ole Miss. We've got 4 guys from Ole Miss the last couple of years.
Yeah.
We've got a pipeline to Kiffin. We're like, thanks, buddy.
Yeah.
But, I mean, y'all been able to cherry pick from SEC, not just Ole Miss, man. I mean, think about it. Justin Fields. Y'all been able to cherry pick some of these highly talented. I think the only miss that Ohio State has had was Joe Burrow. Right. Whereas as far as like you not being able to get that transfer, you actually lost that transfer and he ended up being one of the all-time greats at LSU. But other than that, man,
you want a crazy, crazy story, Joe Burrow story. You go back and at one time at Ohio State, you had Dwayne Haskins, Joe Burrow, JT Barrett, Braxton Miller. I'm forgetting somebody. Cardell Jones, maybe I'm
12 gauge. Probably.
I think he might have been graduated already.
That's like that sounds like the daggum Alabama locker room when they had Mac Jones, Jalen Hurts, Tua Tagovailoa, and I think Bryce Young.
I think I remember what it is now. It was you'll laugh at this last one. But at one time they had JT Barrett, Dwayne Haskins, Joe Burrow, and Tate Martell all in the same quarterback room.
Oh, man.
Yeah. And that's what it was. But just the level of talent there at one time was incredible. And they chose Dwayne Haskins over Burrow. And that first year, it made sense. If you go back and look, 100%. Burrow didn't do that great at LSU. I mean, he did okay. And Dwayne Haskins broke all-time passing records at Ohio State, was a first-round draft pick, and then, had the terrible story. And eventually, he passed away. I
would agree with you. Joe Burrow's first year at LSU wasn't that crazy. it was just that senior year, man. That was a special one for him. So.
Yeah, and so people like to throw that in Ohio State's face. You guys let Joe Burrow walk away. Well, you go look at that first year; it was the right decision.
Yeah,
right?
No, and I don't mean to throw it in your face. I more meant like y'all have really benefited from almost every transfer portal move from the SEC outside of that. Other than that was the one I could remember that was like, no, that was the big one that actually Ohio State got the less end of that deal. But like you said, y'all probably had 2 or 3 in the quarterback room.
There is one more.
Uh-oh.
Quinn Ewers.
I forgot about Quinn Ewers.
Yes.
He went there first.
Now, here's what's crazy. Here's the story behind that. He should have been a high school senior. And if you recall, he graduated early and reclassified.
That's right. Yeah.
Came to Ohio State to collect that $1 million NIL deal, okay, because he couldn't make any NIL as a high school player in Texas. Came here. It was obvious he really didn't want to be here. And then he bolts and goes back to Texas after collecting a cool mill here in Columbus, Ohio. So that is one that kind of got away. But at the end of the day, we all kind of look at each other and go, I don't think he was ever going to stay here.
No.
Right. That's fair. Well, man, we appreciate, like I said, everything that you've done. I had to throw out some football questions before we let you go today because, man, that's what we're really looking forward to it. Baseball season, believe it or not, man, it's only got about 5 weeks left before we're in the postseason. So, we're closer now than ever to getting to football season. But obviously, y'all had y'all's, what is it, Scarlet and Gray game? What is it?
They just call it the spring game.
The spring game? Okay, fair enough. So, but it sounds like y'all are pretty excited about this upcoming year, as y'all should be. Man, this kind of does feel like y'all are putting everything in the basket.
It is.
And going for it all. So, we're definitely
might not make it after this year if he don't
win. No kidding. As a Tennessee fan and as a realistic one, I hope we sneak in there, but we're probably going to be 10-2 or 9-3, kind of on that threshold. But I think it would be really cool in the month of January, February. We maybe do a collaboration of our own where we could be talking about the playoff, dude. That would be a dream type scenario for us. So
we owe Skeeter and the Woods Water Mizzou podcast one though. So
that was awesome.
Y'all really do.
We owe him one, man.
I tell you what, Missouri broke our heart. South Carolina broke our heart worse. I mean, we've had some good years, but some rough moments. I'll tell you that. So
yeah.
But Eric,
we got your socials up here, but you want to tell the folks where they can find you, what time you go live and stuff like that?
Sure. So obviously YouTube's where we try to point most people to. You can find us at YouTube at the OHIO podcast. We go live on Sunday nights at 8:00. And we also do a new thing we've been doing for a couple months now. We do a live call-in show on Thursday nights at 8:00 on YouTube. That's been a lot of fun, getting to interact with a lot of the people who watch us live. They end up calling in and they give us their thoughts and things. So, of course, if you have trouble finding any of that, just remember, go over to the College Huddle. We'll search for Ohio State. You'll find us there. So check us out at the College Huddle as well.
Yep. Eric, we appreciate you coming on today and talking about the College Huddle with us. The excitement is real with this right here. So
is this how you do that?
That's pretty close. Yeah, absolutely.
BOL.
That's it.
I like it, guys. Thanks for having me on, fellas.
Hey, thank you, Eric.
Appreciate it, Eric.
And that is Eric Boggs with the OHIO podcast and also with the College Huddle. Man, I'm pretty stoked about where that thing's going to lead. And to be the Tennessee representative of that community is pretty awesome, don't you think?
Yeah, it's cool. And, it was kind of a surreal moment when he first reached out to us about doing this. We just kind of stopped and we were like,
us?
Yeah, obviously at first we were just like, yeah, absolutely. Let's do it. And we're like, wait, let's look everything real closely first, just to make sure we're not jumping into something crazy. But this has been awesome being a part of this, and glad to finally be able to talk about it now that it's launched, because the secret has been hard to keep.
No, exactly. But we're here. We made it, and we're going to get right into our show, man. We got to make it quick because that went a little long, but I was not going to rush him out the door. It was awesome having him on the show. But let's go ahead and get into our second segment, and I want to let you guys know that it is sponsored by PNLBusinessServices.com is where you can find them. We know firsthand that getting your monthly reporting, invoicing, bill pay, taxes, and other essential business services right is critical. That's why at P&L Business Services, we go beyond bookkeeping by providing you with everything you need in your back office so that you can have your time back and the peace of mind to do what you love most, which is building your business. Behind every successful business is a great bookkeeper. Contact P&L Business Services at pnlbusinessservices.com. And I'll tell you what, I think they're going on a nice long vacation now that tax season is kind of wrapping up. So you might not get them for a little. They have put in a lot of overtime lately, and they might be taking some weeks off. So don't be mad if they don't answer real quick, because they definitely deserve their vacation. But we appreciate them supporting us, supporting our show. And man, I'm gonna let you choose. Where do you want to take this thing? Obviously, we had the spring game, and then we got baseball, softball to talk about. Which you want to go? Where do you want to go?
Let's go with the spring game first.
Let's go with the spring game, baby.
I was gonna say we got softball playing right now. They're up 6-3, but maybe we can talk just a little bit more about that towards the end. But yeah, let's go with the spring game first. As orange and white game was yesterday, Orange ended up winning 21-14. But it's not about who wins on this one, because offense was in white, defense is in orange, and basically you just alternate possessions. So, and either way, Tennessee was going to win.
No, I'm joking. So I'm actually excited you will never guess why I'm excited. And you know what? I will let you guess. Why do you think I'm excited right now?
You're probably excited because football is back.
That's a good answer, but it's not why I'm excited. So, like every good team seems to have like a little Wes Welker, like a little smaller back that's just a good slot receiver. We have found that guy, okay? He might not play a single snap in the season, but that's okay because we at least have him. And that is Dayton Sneed, my guy.
Yes.
Just popping off, and it's the most unlikely guy that you would ever expect to do that. In fact, I didn't even know he was on the team until the orange and white game. And I think that's why I love watching the orange and white games. You get to see the full roster, not just the top 2 or 3 in the rotation. But Dayton Sneed, man, had a day. And look at Georgia with Lad McConkey. Like, I'm telling you, all these teams have a player like that, and Tennessee might have found theirs. And that's what excites me just a little bit more about this upcoming season.
Yeah, so I've got it right there. Dayton Sneed yesterday had 5 receptions, 73 yards, and a touchdown. Well, before we get into some of the actual stats and talking seriously on it, overreaction ball fan here. Gaston Moore is going to be your starting quarterback because of how he performed in the orange and white game. Dude was just unbelievable.
What?
184 yards, 2 touchdowns. Gaston Moore is your starter. So.
What a weapon to have, though, in the quarterback room.
Oh, absolutely.
Just a guy that kind of knows his place, but that's not going to stop him from going out there and trying his hardest to be where he's at. And on top of that, when I say know his place, Jake Merklinger, he might have fought himself into a second on the depth chart right there. But now I'm not putting that much stock into it. Jake Merklinger actually played really good. But Gaston Moore, just a guy that knows where he's at and can at least add some of that experience. Because, you got to think, this is his 4th or 5th year under Heupel's offense. He was with Heupel back at UCF. So he's adding some of that value. He's able to coach up. He's kind of like a coach. Honestly, at this point, he's a coach that's just playing and having fun, right? And to have that type of guy, if the worst thing happens this year, which is a scenario that can happen, right? And Nico goes down, I am actually fully not thinking that we could still achieve all of our goals, but I am really comfortable with whoever comes in as our number 2.
Yeah, so that's been a conversation all offseason. Is you got Nico Iamaleava, redshirt freshman this year, going to get the start. And then the question has been, where do you go after this? Because you've got true freshman Jake Merklinger, and that's the only 2 scholarship quarterbacks you've got on the roster. But you've got a guy that's a 5th or 6th year senior in Gaston Moore, who, as you mentioned, has been under Josh Heupel for every single one of those years. He knows how to run this offense. He's not going to go out there and beat a Georgia or an Alabama for you. But let's just say worst case scenario happens and you're playing against a team like, I'll just throw out Arkansas. Gaston Moore can go out there and get you a win against Arkansas. So I am completely comfortable having Gaston Moore on the field if need be. Now, once again, that's worst case scenario, but I think that the quarterback room is shaping up a little bit now, seeing Gaston Moore and kind of looking towards the future a little bit. Do you think because of how well Gaston Moore knows Josh Heupel's offense, Josh Heupel would come to him and say, hey, would you want to be an analyst on this staff? Would you want to be a coach on this staff in the future?
Yes, I think that's leading that way. Now, and the only reason why is because you got to look at this and say, what's in it for Gaston Moore, right? Because, I mean, I already said it. He knows his place. You got to think there's some type of handshake deal between him and Heupel, and that's why he's staying there. Because I seriously think Gaston Moore could go somewhere and play some competitive ball. Now, I don't think that's an SEC school, but he could absolutely go somewhere and be a starter and win games at some other school, whether that's, you know,
go to a UAB, go to an MTSU, go to some school like that.
I wouldn't even there's some Big Ten schools he could go to, and maybe even Big 12 schools he could go to and be a starter. You know, the Big Ten is a great conference. Outside the top four, it's really not. He could absolutely be a competitive quarterback somewhere in a conference like that, or the ACC. I think there's a handshake deal. Maybe I'm completely wrong. All right, we don't know this. We're just speaking off the top. But I would think that Gaston Moore is kind of hoping that he could maybe help out, you know, Coach Halsley with the quarterbacks down the road after he graduates.
Yeah. All right. So, question for you after hearing some things from spring practice, after watching the spring game yesterday, what was your favorite thing out of that game? Whether it's a position, I mean, you mentioned Dayton Sneed there, but whether it's a player, a position group, what excites you most coming out of spring practice / the orange and white game?
You had your overreaction moment. I'm going to have mine. Tennessee will have the best defensive line in the country coming up in the fall.
I don't think that's an overreaction.
It won't even be close. They have got this defensive line dialed. All right. Because if you're watching that game, I mean, offensive line had no chance. No chance. Okay, I mean, it was almost every drop back.
In fairness, though, and I get where you're coming from, but in fairness, Cooper Mays didn't play.
No. Yes.
Play. I mean, 100%. You didn't have your main out there playing.
Now there was a lot of starting defensive linemen that didn't play either.
Yes.
So I mean,
yes.
I'm just thinking this defensive line is about to be hell. 3 deep at each position, honestly.
Yeah.
And when you can rotate like that all game long, you're going to have fresh legs the entire game, no matter how long they're going to be out there, right? Because that's a kind of a nick to Tennessee is their offense is so fast, your defense is out there all the time, and by the third, fourth quarter, man, you're just wore out. But when you've got 12 guys that can play the line and play it damn good, man, it doesn't matter if they play 90 plays, right? They're going to be fresh and ready to go no matter what. And I am very much excited. I think Nico even said it. Like, man, we got the best defensive line in the country. And I think he's right. I don't think that's an overreaction, but I'm going to call it that because anytime you say something like that, it can be an overreaction. So I kind of want to save myself for clickbait, I guess, down the road. But I really do think Tennessee's got one of the best defensive line, which in turn is going to make this whole revamped defensive backfield look even better because they're not going to have to work as hard to cover a player because they're only going to have to cover them for 3 to 4 seconds. After that 5-second mark, that quarterback's either going to have to scramble or he's getting sacked. And I'm very confident in that.
All right, so you bringing that up has brought me to my most exciting part, and that is the defensive backfield because we've been hearing how athletic they are this year. And Boo Carter is an absolute dog.
He is everywhere, dude.
He showed it yesterday. But, you know, what excited me most is one thing that Tennessee has struggled with in the defensive backfield the last few years is just not tackling guys. You know, they'll come up and they'll hit them. You know, prime example, Kamal Hadden last year against Florida, come up and hit the guy with his shoulder. It was ETN, but didn't wrap him up. And here's ETN scrambling for a 75-yard touchdown run. Those guys yesterday, there was a few missed tackles, but mostly it was that first hit, they're getting them down one way or another. And who's the 6'7" tight end that we got? Is that the dude from Alabama?
Holden Stays or?
It's either Holden Stays or what's the other guy? Miles Kisselman from Alabama. Is that him?
Yes.
Yeah, dude is like 6'7", something like that. And I can't remember who it was, went to make a tackle on him, but try grabbing him around the waist. Well, Kisselman is just sitting there dragging him because, like I said, dude is 6'7", and the guy didn't give up. He finally just kind of let go a little bit and then grabbed around the legs and got him down. the fact that we're able to see guys in the defensive backfield just wrap up and get guys onto the ground and not missing these tackles, giving up big plays, that's what excites me this year. Because if you can just make the tackles and prevent the big plays, that's going to go a long way toward helping out your defense and not putting as much pressure on the offense to just constantly score.
Yeah, absolutely. But tell you what, it was a slow start, but then it was a very quick game. I mean, that second quarter was you get a touchdown and you get a touchdown. Yeah. But I'd tell you what, I don't put a lot of stock into the orange and white game.
I don't either. It's just fun for the fans.
Because if you remember, man, Gaston Moore actually had a really good game last year as well.
Yeah.
So it's nothing new to him. He goes out there in that orange and white game, and that's his time. That's his time to shine, brother. He knows what he's got. He's being asked to do. But I tell you what, this wide receiver group is looking pretty freaking strong, and I'm talking like 5, 6, 7 deep strong, which kind of scares me. I'm afraid that maybe we'll lose some of that talent. Because that's just how it is these days. But as of right now. If we have a moment, and I hate to call him out, but kind of like a Ramel Keaton moment where you're wide open and you just drop it.
Yeah. There's
going to be zero patience for that. There is too many guys that are talented to play this position now on this roster. Heupel is not going to have it, and I don't think he should. If somebody has a moment like that, and I hate to say that because you don't want to kill a kid's confidence, but we just got too much talent now at the wide receiver position. We can't have those type of mental mistakes and not be punished somewhat for it, because I'm telling you what, Mike Matthews is coming out and taking names, bro. He's a true freshman, but he doesn't care that Chris Bowser is here. He doesn't care that Dante Thornton's here. He probably cares a little bit that Brew's here and Squirrel's here. But I'm just saying, this kid is out to play in year one, and I think he's going to have a strong chance.
Yeah, and talking about true freshmen as well, I believe that there's for sure going to be one true freshman in the defensive backfield playing, and we've already mentioned him, Boo Carter. I think there's a chance that we got 2 true freshmen out there, because Jordan Matthews,
I would agree with that.
At corner, he showed out yesterday too.
Yeah, Jordan Matthews, obviously Ricky Gibson, Gerard McCoy. Dude, I'm telling you, this defensive back room is going to look great, and we didn't even talk about Andre Turrentine. Now, I don't think he played a ton in this game, but he's going to be probably your starting safety. And I'm excited about it, man. I think we've improved at that position. By the way, excuse me, Jeremiah Thielander looks really good. In his second year, right? His first year, he didn't look like the biggest guy on the field. That dude hit the weight room, and he hit it hard. Jeremiah Thielander might be a guy that just might provide really good depth right there at that linebacker position with obviously you got Keenan Peely, Arian Carter. You've got
Caleb Herring.
Thank you. And I think there's even one more that played a lot of ball yesterday.
Kristen Harrison, or was that defensive back?
I think that's defensive back. But either way, linebacker position, we're 4 or 5 deep, very comfortably there. And I'm hoping that we stay healthy at that position for sure. I think that's probably I'm going to answer this. I know you didn't answer. You didn't ask me, but I think maybe our weakest position, but it's just really of a depth standpoint, is maybe linebacker. But I think we've improved at that position.
That's a good choice, but I think I'm going to go offensive side of the ball and say offensive lineman, just because you've got your experience. Yeah. You've got your experience on the right side of that offensive line with John Campbell coming back, Javonte Spraggins. You got Cooper Mays there at center. You've got transferred Lance Hurd, and you've got Dane.
A lot of those guys didn't play, by the way.
Exactly. Yeah. A lot of those guys didn't play. So you've got guys that maybe don't quite have the experience on the field. So I think it's going to be a little bit of a learning curve for that offensive line. We could see some struggling early. That's why I'm going to say offensive lineman might be our weakest position group going into the season right now.
I got you. Well, last question I got for this one was your favorite play of the game.
Favorite play of the game? I'm actually going to go with I've got 2 of them, but I'll stick with the Gaston Moore to Mike Matthews touchdown right before the half. Just the the separation that Mike Matthews got right there.
It's a pretty hard catch on his end, by the way.
It was. Gaston Moore wanted to make sure that he got it away from the defender. Mike Matthews just started separating.
Had to go up and over a little bit, but he brought it down. Yeah. I like that play.
So I would say probably that play. I'll let you say yours, and then I've got a little secondary one.
I like mine because it was a true freshman making a veteran play, something that we didn't see Joe Milton do a lot of or take advantage of, and that was Jake Merklinger drawing the defense off sides and then throwing a dart down the field to Chris Brazel for a long touchdown pass, and that was a veteran-type play to draw the defense off sides, know that he got the flag, and then throw it deep, and not just throwing it and praying for it. I mean, he threw a dart, a catchable ball, and it was a great touchdown. I think that, seeing that from a true freshman shows me that these coaches are coaching them to do that. Sometimes you just got a stubborn player that doesn't know how to do that, I guess is all I'm trying to say. But that was probably my favorite play of the orange and white game.
Yeah, you saying that's probably the best play of the game. But my secondary play was gonna still be Jake Merklinger, the touchdown run that he had.
No, I didn't like that one.
Well, here's the thing.
I didn't like it.
You don't see a whole lot of quarterback touchdown runs in the spring game because all you got to do is
you can't tackle him.
All you got to do is put one hand on the guy. He wasn't touched. Well, and it was a 26-yard touchdown run.
Yes, yes. But like if you watch that play, you can see the defensive players kind of like lunging and then like knowing that they can't hit him, but that they could have. You've seen that on the linebackers end and then the defensive end coming back the other way. I mean, they could have dove at his feet to tackle him. I mean, credit to him for scrambling, but I thought that was kind of like a they let him have it type deal. So I didn't like that one. But no, that's fine. That's a good question. But, man, we're going to wrap up this segment. Let's get into softball and some baseball. If you want to let us know who our segment 3 sponsor is.
All right, we'll do that. So our segment 3 sponsor is Kaizen Painting. Do you want a colorful life? Kaizen is a painting and drywall company that provides residential, commercial, exterior, and interior services. At Kaizen Painting, we understand the importance of a beautifully painted home and properly installed and repaired drywall. We're here to bring your vision to life. We care about providing you with a personalized, efficient, and quality service. If you live in Knoxville and surroundings, contact us for a free estimate at kaizenpainting.com. Color your life the Kaizen way. So we appreciate Kaizen Painting for being our 3rd segment sponsor. And with that, we'll start with baseball as it has been an exciting
I was
week
so glad that's
for
where we decided to start.
Yeah. So
I don't want to get too ahead of myself. There was a midweek game that we need to touch up on.
Yeah. Well, we'll touch this one real quick because we got a lot of it last week. 19-5, Tennessee over Auburn last week. Their 2nd run rule victory of the series last weekend. Cal Stark with a huge day. 3 for 3, 2 home runs, a grand slam, and a 3-run home run. A double, and he was hit by a pitch. He scored all 4 times that he got on base.
So if you watched our little video with who was that, Blake, with the Uptempo podcast? Yeah, we nailed this series on the head. You know, we thought that we were going to drop one, but still win the series 2-1. Now, what I didn't think was that we would run with them twice. This Sunday game came out of nowhere.
Home runs in the process.
Yeah, this Sunday game surprised the crap out of me. But posting up, especially after getting punched in the mouth in the first inning in this one, right? You gave up 3 runs, and you're like, oh, no, here we go again. We just don't have that starting rotation like we had. And then our offense is like, hold our beer. We'll get us back into this thing. And 7 runs later in the 2nd inning, and then 4 runs later in the 3rd, 2 runs in the 4th, 3 in the – I mean, it was just like, what in the world? And that's where you kind of seen Auburn's, like, self-collapse a little bit. They kind of ran out of arms. They couldn't really stop the bleeding per se. And, man, we just jumped all over them. And this was a big win. Auburn's not that competitive this year. But like I said, Tennessee's just not really had those strong showings to prove to me that they could really take care of business in all 3 games. And unfortunately, they dropped that first one. But that was really, I mean, if you heard us on that podcast, that was expected. I thought Auburn was going to come out with a punch, and they did. But the fact that we responded the way we did, man, that gave me a lot of hope going into this weekend series. And the boys are kind of proving us right as they just kicked off game 3.
Yeah. We'll real quick hit this midweek game too.
Yeah.
20-2 win over Alabama A&M in the midweek. And the big thing in this one, have you ever seen a game with so many free passes? I mean, it was a total of
7 walks,
13 walks.
No, God,
for Tennessee, and that's not including the hit by pitches. I don't have that stat here, but 13 walks that Alabama A&M gave up, and Tennessee didn't hit a home run in this game until late, whenever they started bringing in some of the pitch hitters. And you see down here, Camden Bates got one, and Colby Backus got one. Both of those, I believe, were their first home runs in a Vol uniform.
That's what a midweek game is all about. I mean, that's that. But now that's a product of a team knowing that they can't throw it over the plate because they will get home runs hit off of them. Because let's face it, Alabama's A&M, their best pitcher, if they were to throw it against Tennessee, which they didn't, they were smart about that. But that would be equivalent to like the SEC's 4th or 5th guy on their rotation. I hate to kind of disrespect them like that, but that's why they're there. And this is just a midweek game to kind of help stay in the flow. Baseball is all about rhythm, muscle memory, staying in the moment, right? And no, Alabama A&M just overmatched. I mean, just truthfully, that's all it was. Tennessee stayed in rhythm, stayed, hot. Bats are very hot right now.
Could you say that again?
No, I can't say that again. But the bats are very hot right now. I did say it again. There it is. And 20-2 is what you get. We paid Alabama very nicely. A&M. We paid A&M very nicely. Come up, take the trip. I hope they enjoyed the river and go back home.
And I was able to count it up. So it was a total of 18 free passes because there was 5 hit by pitches in the game for Alabama A&M pitchers. So 18 total free passes. And at one point, I believe it was like 4 or 5 walks in a row, something like that, because they walked the bases loaded and then walked in like at least 1 run. It might have been 2, but one name that I want to throw out here, Ariel Antigua. He's been awesome, just a highlight reel on defense, but he's gotten off to a slow start from the plate. He got
what's keeping him. That's what's been keeping him off the starting rotation now. I mean, he's shown that he can play defense better than anybody that we got, but his lack of production on the offense has kind of kept him from being in the starting rotation in the weekend. But as you were about to say,
I'm hoping that the icebreaker that he got in this game is going to open him up going forward, because late in this contest, I believe it was in the bottom of the 6th inning, he got up with the bases loaded and hit a bases clearing double to the right center field wall. So hopefully that's going to kind of take a little bit of a weight off of his shoulders and things are going to open up for him at the plate.
Absolutely. So we kicked it off against LSU this weekend, Friday night. Tell you what, man, LSU really showed some fight in this game, but man, they have taken a step back bigger than most programs from a team that, I mean, didn't they win it all last year?
They won the entire thing. And after yesterday's win for Tennessee, they have gotten off to 5 straight SEC series where they have lost. They have not won an SEC series so far, but
they haven't won an SEC series, and I think they're not going to make the tournament. Like, I really don't. They are. I'm talking the SEC tournament, right? Because not every team makes it, does it?
All but 2 right now. Now, next year, everybody will, but
That's
it's going to be single elimination. But this year,
they might make the tournament if it's all but 2. But
it's been all but 2. But
they won't make the big tournament. Go ahead.
Probably not. Guess who's back?
Billy Barrels. Billy, I'm so glad you brought that up, brother. Because in his first pitch back, all right, you know it. He hit a home run. I got it for you. I just started playing it too soon. His first pitch back, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, he didn't even take like a practice swing. He didn't take it because he didn't take a pitch to get the timing of the. No, he waited. They threw him a breaking ball. Mistake. No appendix. Doesn't matter. It's gone. It's over. In fact, he followed this up in game 2 with another bomb because, it's Billy Barrels, and that's what we do around here is we just hit tanks, okay? This puts him at, I think 12 or 13 now.
After yesterday, it was 13.
13 on his career, and he sat 2 weeks, bro. This kid is unreal. And, they do this, if you go to a game, they clap when he gets, and you just know. You get the chills, bro, and it's like, all right, this ball's about to be gone. And when he did it on first pitch, I was like, that dude is fun to watch, man. I mean, isn't that crazy how similar Don Connect is to Billy Amy?
Oh yeah, absolutely. The transfer portal this year has been very good to Tennessee sports.
Right. It's been good for a lot of you. I mean, think of Hendon Hooker, but like I'm telling you, the only difference I see is like he was already the crap at Clemson and he just came over to join the party. But what he has meant to this program is right there equal to what Dalton Knecht meant to the basketball program. And Billy Amick is putting on a show for us, and I hope he keeps it going. He has a chance to go 3 for 3 in terms of home runs in the game against LSU. If he can get 3 home runs in the weekend series, that would be pretty special for Billy Amick.
Yeah, I took the video from Vol Baseball on Twitter and reposted it, and I put the caption, "He's back."
He is, man.
Yeah, it was awesome. But the best story about it all, so that Ole Miss series, whenever he first realized that he had that appendix issue going on, he thought it was just a bad stomach ache. He didn't realize that his appendix was rupturing. He just thought it was a bad stomach ache. He had a grand slam and a double in that game. And then they finally told him, look, you need to go get this checked out. And come to find out, dude had to have his appendix removed, which is why he's missed the last 2 weeks. And then, as you mentioned, first pitch that he sees takes it yard. I mean, just hadn't missed a lick.
And you were kind of wondering if the time off was going to, bother him a little bit. Because, it's like, okay, when is he going to get that first one, right? Like, he's taking some time off. Can he get that first one back and put him back in the momentum swing? But no, it didn't take him any time at all. And on top of that, it was a breaking ball, dude. Like, that's what's crazy about it. They gave him a hanger. Mistake, man. It's just LSU's really taking a step back. We took a step forward, and the fact that we have a chance to get our first sweep of the year and really assert ourselves up the standings this weekend, which is really big, man. Because we started off shaky. We lost that series to Alabama, and then we've won every series since then, but it's just not looked really consistent, right? We have these frustrating losses, but I tell you what, Tennessee has a chance to really sweep I would say a quality opponent. I mean, this team literally is your defending national champion, but man, they've really taken a step back.
Yeah, but real quick, I'll run down the box score. So Christian Moore was 2 for 2 on the day. He walked twice in the game as well. Blake Burke was 2 for 4 in the game. Let's see. Billy Amick was 1 for 3 in the game. Of course, with that 2-run home run. Kavarius Tears 0 for 2. He walked twice. Dylan Dreiling 1 for 3. He also homered in the game. Dean Curley 1 for 4, and that's the end of the hits. But you notice there, AJ Causey got the win. He did not start this game.
No, he didn't.
He's been struggling as of late on Friday night.
I think that was good for him mentally.
I agree. Going into the season, he was supposed to be that number 1 reliever.
Right.
He got used to that role, and I think him coming off the bench like that probably helped him as Chris Stamos got to start, and he did really well at the start. He actually should have made it further than he did, but a bad call or two, a kicked ball, I think, in the field caused one of the innings to extend a little bit. So they went ahead and brought in AJ Causey, and Causey just did his thing. And
I think something that you can compare it to, remember when Jarrett Garantano was the quarterback here, and he was really bad?
I try to forget those days, but thank you for bringing that up.
But remember when Jeremy Pruitt would actually sit him for a series or two to start the game, would throw in like one game, it was Jawan Jennings was the starting quarterback. Yeah. And then you bring in Jarrett Garantano after the game has started, and he was actually really good off the bench. I don't know why a player's got to be like that, but I think for a while, I think Zakai Ziegler was like that. I can't remember if it was him.
Zakai Ziegler was like that.
Yeah, where you have to bench him to start and then bring him on the bench, and he's really good. And I hope
his super senior year, Rick Barnes did the same thing.
Yeah, and that may have been who I was thinking of, but I think Zakai Ziegler was like
Zakai Ziegler was the same way.
So I mean, it just sometimes I don't know if it's a mentality thing. I don't know, but it's just sometimes you got to find a way. Which if Vitello knows this, he can work with it. But you hope that this is kind of that icebreaker that allows him to kind of be that Friday night starter again, because he was that. I know he's the reliever, but then he kind of took over the realms after the other AJ got hurt. AJ Russell, thank you. Got a little injured, banged up, but either way, very nice outing. Really took control. And then as you see right now, we go into game 2, and this game right here, man, Dylan Dreiling came up big. Now, we had the bases loaded. LSU got out of some good jams. But overall, that 6th inning, Dylan Dreiling came through in the clutch with a big double to score Billy Amick and Blake Burke. And then, as we mentioned, Billy Amick got another one to kind of put the game away there in the 8th inning as he sent one over the right field wall. And it was pretty much a no-doubter. And, no, it's awesome, man. Another great quality win. This one's a little bit lower scoring, a little different than what we're used to seeing, but Tennessee's proven they can win in different types of games.
Yeah, absolutely. And Drew Beam, man. Drew Beam.
Oh, yeah. Drew Beam.
Welcome
back.
Yeah, I think he's finally starting to get back into his rhythm. Yeah. The last 2 weeks have been good for him. So hopefully this is the Drew Beam we're going to see going forward. After he got the win yesterday, Drew Beam is now 6th all-time in wins as a pitcher for the University of Tennessee baseball. So that's awesome there. As you see, he did give up 8 hits yesterday, but you know what? Tennessee's defense behind him got him out of some jams. He got himself out of some jams. So, I mean, that's all that you needed. And the offense, they finally broke through in the 6th there. You mentioned I want to credit Blake Burke with that, actually. You know, Tennessee did not have a hit in this ball game until the 6th inning.
Yeah.
Blake Burke knocked a single. Billy Amick right after him either hit a single or a double. And then Dylan Dreiling breaks through with the 2-run single. And that's ultimately the difference in the game. And then Billy Amick just capped it off with the home run in the 8th.
Billy Amick had a double down the left field line. It got Blake Burke all the way around the 3rd. So that's how we got
right. It was right there.
Yeah, it was 2 guys on, 2nd and 3rd, and that's when Dylan Dreiling sent one out to the right field, I think, and scored them both. And that was a piss missile. I mean, that was a line drive right in the gap, right over second base. It was a really good hit. You kind of had a feeling that was going to happen, right? Dylan Dreiling kind of missed the inning before, I think, when he had bases juiced, and so you just knew that he had to pick himself up, and he did just that. It was a big win for Tennessee as they secured the series and they go for the sweep. Get your brooms ready because I'm hoping that we can make it happen for the first time this year as a SEC sweep.
Yeah, we mentioned it that Tennessee really needs one sweep this year at least to make up
to offset that
series.
Exactly, to offset that Alabama series loss.
Yeah. Real quick, going down the scorecard here. So unfortunately, Christian Moore did not get a hit yesterday, but he wasn't the only one. As the only people that got hits was Blake Burke, 1 for 3, Billy Amick, 2 for 4, Kavarius Tears, 1 for 4, and Dylan Dreiling, 1 for 3 in the game. Nobody else got a hit. There was a couple of walks scattered in there, but
Kavarius Tears and Dylan Dreiling, death taxes and those 2 kids right there, you can count on them all the time.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Kavarius Tears, he may not get a hit every game, but dude's getting on base one way or another because of how patient he is as a hitter. He's got a fantastic eye. I think he's reached base safely in every game this year.
You can bet on Kavarius Tears getting a hit. I mean, he had like a 20-game hit streak going before. I mean, he did lose it, but, more times than not, that kid's going to hit a base hit at some point during the game, and he's been very, very clutch. I think he's got like 9 or 10 home runs on the season. Dylan Dreiling's got like 11 or 12, so I mean.
Yeah, Dreiling's got 12, I believe. Tears has got 10.
Yeah,
Tears is batting over 400 right now.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like the kid's getting on base, and it's crazy. I mean, those were the 2 guys that were. I mean, they were incoming freshmen, were they not last year? And
and we knew that Tennessee had something special after that Vanderbilt game last.
Oh yeah, it was those 2 guys.
Kavarius Tears, he gets the pinch hit, hits a home run. Next batter, Dylan Dreiling. As you mentioned, both of these guys are freshmen. Pinch hit, home run to tie the game, send it to extras, and that's whenever we see. Can't remember his name now, but it was a transfer guy. He only played 1 year for us. He hit the Griffin Merritt. Griffin Merritt came up in extra innings.
Number 10.
And hit the walk-off home run for Tennessee in that game. And that game right there, I believe, is what changed Tennessee's season last year.
100%. Absolutely. But Tennessee just cranked off game 3 about 30 minutes ago. They're probably in the 2nd or 3rd inning now. But we're going to swap this thing over to softball and try to wrap it up as quickly as possible, as we have almost eclipsed the hour-and-a-half mark. But softball team, for the first time this year, kind of got smacked in the mouth. And I'm kind of excited how they rebound off of it. How does this affect them? Because I'll tell you what, from the start, it wasn't pretty. Mississippi State kind of did their research. They did their homework, and they came out and they went the entire game and scored runs in every inning. I mean, they didn't go a single inning without scoring a single run. Now, I didn't watch this game. All right, so educate me. Is there a run rule in softball? Why did this game end at 5?
Yes. So softball run rule, I believe, is 10 after 4 or 8 after 5.
8
Something
after
like
5.
that. Now they're talking about wanting to change it to make it kind of like baseball, where it's 10 after 5. You know, baseball's got 10 after 7. I think they're wanting to change and make it 10 after 5 now. But yeah.
Either way, we were playing sloppy on the defense. Yeah, I was gonna say we were playing sloppy on the defense. Offense wasn't clicking. I was okay with this game kind of being all right. Scratch it. Let's come back. But no, Mississippi State came out firing. This is the first time, man. I mean, really, the first time all season we've gotten smacked in the mouth. Humbled is the best word I could put it. You know, like they've been riding cloud 9, pretty much taking care of business every game. But first game of the series, Mississippi State wasn't having it. They came out, shut us down, handed Carlin Pickens her 4th loss of the season, and she only pitched 2 innings. She gave up 5 hits, 5 runs, 4 earned, right, with the walk, and she only got 3 Ks. I say only 3 Ks in 2 innings, but Carlin Pickens, I mean, pretty much averages 2 Ks an inning. I mean, she's on top of it usually. But no, this was a tough one to see, and hopefully I'm really looking forward to how they bounce back in this series.
Yeah, so I've got it pulled up real quick. I mean, pretty simple box score in this one. There was only 2 hits for Tennessee in the ball game.
Yeah.
Riley West 1 for 2, and Taylor Panel 1 for 2. And Riley West drove in. Let's see, I believe it was Zeta Pooney that scored off of that after she walked. I believe that's correct. But yeah, that's only 2 hits in the ball game there. And you mentioned defense a little bit sloppy. Didn't really help out Carlin Pickens either. Ended up going with Riley White and Charlie Orsini behind her just to finish things out. Didn't want to put Peyton Gottschall in there yet, as we knew that she was going to get in game 2. Wanted to kind of save her for that. And, you know, we'll move right along to game 2, in which Tennessee bounces back and gets the 6-1 victory in Starkville.
And that's how you want to bounce back.
Oh, yeah.
And on top of this, they came out immediately. The first inning, scored 3 runs. And that's how you want to do it. You wondered, how are they going to handle just being, smacked in the mouth? And they handled it the way a championship team would. They come right back out the second game, and they take care of business. And you knew when Peyton Gottschall didn't come in that first game that she was going to get the game here in game 2, and she delivered. 7 innings pitched. She gave up 3 hits and only 1 earned run. She struck out 7 against 24 batters faced. I mean, that's just pure dominance. Absolutely pure dominance. And, she only gave up, like I said, 3 hits. Defense played behind her, 0 errors as compared to the 3 the night before. Just all around better effort. And like you said, McKenna Gibson had a game at the plate, going 2 for 4 with a home run, 2 RBI. And Peyton Gottschall picks up her 14th of the season. W, that is.
Yeah, this was an awesome game. And, it played out perfectly yesterday, too, because you had the orange and white game at noon. Well, I guess 1 Eastern. Then you had the softball game come on at 3:30 Eastern. Yep. And then following that, immediately following it on the SEC Network, you didn't even have to change the channel. Baseball followed that. So you got to catch all of them yesterday, and it was all the way.
What a day for Tennessee, right? You're on national television with the softball and the baseball team. You pick up great wins, right? And on top of that, you had you had an orange and white game on SEC Network Plus, which wasn't nationally televised, but it was streaming. So you had a very lively day on campus. You had everybody coming out. You had the tailgating. They broke the attendance record at the baseball field, over 6,000. And I know for a fact the spring game at the football field helped out with that, because they just walked over the street, bought a general admission ticket, and they went in standing room only. That's something that I love that baseball does. If you can't get a seat, they will give you a ticket as long as they're standing room, down the lines. They'll let you stand and go watch the game inside the park. And shout out to all the fans that really made a whole Saturday out of it. If you had the opportunity to just go hang out at campus all day, man, those 6,000, I guarantee you took the advantage of that.
Yeah, and this is just in, and just a heads up, ignore the player stats. I did not get a chance to update this. Tennessee softball gets the series win with a 7-3 victory over the Mississippi State Lady Dogs. Tennessee scores 4 in the third inning and holds off Mississippi State the rest of the way. As I mentioned, ignore the McKenna Gibson, Peyton Gottschall stat, although I believe Gottschall does get the win in this game. I was copying it off of ESPN just in to try to get the graphic up, but let's see.
Yo, this is massive. This is massive. Tennessee Lady Vols, I'm not going to say are close to clinching first place, but they just put themselves in very good position. As now, including this win, they are now 12-3 in the conference. The next best as of this moment is Florida, sitting at 9-5. They're a complete two and a half games back with 3 weekends to go, I believe, in the softball season. So Tennessee has put themselves in some great positions where they don't really even need to get sweeps. They just need to keep winning these series, and they'll be first place overall for the season championship. And that's kind of like basketball. I think it means a lot more to win the regular season championship than it does the tournament championship. But this Lady Vols team is poised to do both this year.
Yeah, just like they did last year. And looks like right here, Zeta Pooney had the big bat in the game as she hit 2 home runs in the game. One of them a solo shot, the other one a 2-run home run. McKenna Gibson also had a 2 RBI double in the game. Taylor Panel also homered. So all the way around, pretty good. Looks like Carlin Pickens picked up the win. Peyton Gottschall got the 3-inning save is kind of what it looks like, as Carlin Pickens did get the start. She gave up those 3 runs in the 4th inning and brought in Peyton Gottschall to finish out the rest of the way.
You know, we talked about how competitive the SEC is in softball, man. There is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 teams. And I'm just going to go ahead and say 9. There is 9 teams in the softball and SEC that are at 29 wins or higher already. There is, let's see, Mississippi State and Arkansas have 29. They're 29-11 overall, man. And the rest of the teams that I haven't mentioned, but like you've got Missouri's got 33 wins. Alabama has 30. Georgia 33-9. LSU 33-7. Florida or Texas A&M is 31-9, and Florida's 34-9. I mean, these teams right here, it's not like Tennessee. The Lady Vols are doing this against weak competition. I mean, this is some stout softball competition here, and Lady Vols have really put themselves in a great position after this weekend. I know they got smacked in the mouth in game 1, but I think I'm not going to say they needed it, but I think they turned it into a positive, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, we mentioned it. It's hard to just sweep every single series.
Right.
As long as you could take 2 out of 3, which is what Tennessee just did by coming back and picking up the last 2 games in this series against Mississippi State, that's what you got to do. So Lady Vols just continuing to take care of business. Do you have anything else on the Lady Vols before we move on to the last little bit of news?
No, not at all. Tennessee Lady Vols are now 31-7 after this win. I forgot this wasn't updated. So big series win, especially after that Friday night showing, and pretty proud of Karen Weekly and what the girls are doing. But I do want to kind of mention that their next series is against LSU. It's crazy how they're doing this with the baseball team. Is it not funny how they're doing that? Like, this is like the 2nd or 3rd time this year where they're playing a team that the baseball team had played the week before or the week after. But yeah, they play LSU back here at home, and that is a Friday, Saturday, Sunday slate. The first game is Friday night. It'll be at 6 p.m. Eastern against LSU, and the Saturday's game is at noon, and then the Sunday game is at 2 p.m. And this whole weekend series is all national television. So Friday night is going to be on SEC Network. Saturday is on ESPN2, as well as Sundays on ESPN2. So Lady Vols back on the national stage. Let's see if they can keep it rolling.
Yeah, let's see if we can do that. A little bit of unfortunate news moving now as Jonas Adu entered the transfer portal / entering the NBA draft. He has not hired an agent. I believe he's just wanting to go in and kind of get a little bit of insight on what he needs to do to help things. But as I've got there, he is all SEC second team this year, all SEC defensive team, averaged 12.1 points a game, 7.6 rebounds. He is the 4th Vol to enter the portal so far, as we've got Adu, Tobe Awaka, Freddie DeLeon, and DJ Jefferson. But Skylar, my question for you now, Because I've heard a little bit of talk about this last week, but nothing has come out.
No.
You don't think Tobe Awaka takes his name out of the portal?
Oh, I thought you were going to say the coach is retiring, and I was like,
oh no. Do you?
Because I've seen a lot of that. I've seen like, oh man, this is the fourth player. Is that signs that Rick Barnes is leaving? No, it's not.
No.
But no. Okay, so Tobe Awaka takes his name out. I could see that. But now I think if he does that, he knows he's sharing time with JP Estrella. JP Estrella proved to be that guy.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's why you're seeing these bigs go into the portal. But Tobe Awaka out of these four is the biggest loss. So I would like to see him come back because I think he is that physical guy that we need. He's just a little wild with the fouling. If we can get that calmed down a little bit, I think he has a chance to be one of the SEC greats at the big position.
Yeah, and my reason behind asking that is, I believe, and I don't have an insight on this, but I believe the reason that Tobe entered the portal is, they have their player meetings at the end of the year. At this time, it was before Jonas Adu put his name into the portal. He saw the writing on the wall of, okay, it's Adu, and then it's Estrella. And
I don't think it was Adu and Estrella. I really don't. I think it was poised to be Awaka and Estrella and Adu. I mean, the way he performed in the last, really the SEC tournament and the big tournament. I think maybe I'm wrong completely because Adu was a big part of this team the entire season, but I think Adu proved to me that he's just not physical enough in this league, man. Just not. I mean, he settled for so many jumpers, and I know that's part of his game, but you want a guy that is not scared of getting to the basket and getting that easy to. I wouldn't say easy to because you got to fight for it, but, act like the bigger guy. Be bigger. Be tougher. And Adu, even though he just wasn't. He was kind of scared to do that. And but no, I think to your point, Tobe Awaka, if he comes back, he knows he's sharing time with JP Estrella, so we're getting to the same point here. But I'm almost wondering and kind of a little worried that maybe Tobe and Jonas Adu didn't have the greatest relationship in the locker room.
Maybe
I'm not going to speculate that, but the fact that they both entered the transfer portal, if Tobe were to withdraw his name from it, it would almost alert me to think that maybe he just had a problem with Jonas Adu. And maybe it was a timing, or maybe it was a playing time, type thing. But
I think it's more the playing time thing because my speculation is that with him entering the transfer portal, he was looking for some place where he could play because he can go and play somewhere and be a good big.
Right.
And I think that he was looking at some place maybe back home in New York, and he still might do that. But I've also heard a few things through the grapevine about him possibly withdrawing his name.
Would love it
because of Adu.
I seen a poll on Instagram. They were like, "Would you take him back?" And it was like 95% to 0 or whatever. Yeah, we would take him back 100%.
Yeah, absolutely. But a little bit of positive news for Tennessee. Hoster Ford, I believe it's Darlinstone Dubar is how you say the name. He was in town this weekend for the orange and white game visiting Tennessee. He's a 6'8". He's listed as a guard. I believe he's a small forward. So he would be kind of like Triple J in that sense. 6'8", 211, averaged 17.8 points a game last year at Hofstra, a 40% three-point shooter. And I mentioned to you earlier this week, he's a guy that he's kind of like Connect in which he loves the spotlight. They played against 4 big teams this year. I can't remember all of them, but I know one of them was Duke. He scored 24 points, 18 points, 20 points, and 23 points respectively in those 4 big games.
Heck yeah. I mean, I'm all for it as long as he buys into the culture in the program. I mean, kind of like Dalton Connect did. Dalton Connect knew he was the guy, but he fell in love with the players, and he loved being coached the way he was being coached. And I think that's what allowed him to be so great. So I love that we're going after these guys that are proven to be some point scorers, and as long as they play some defense, which I'm not really worried about that because Rick Barnes can coach that up. But as long as these guys buy into the program and know that, hey, they're a part of the team and not just trying to build a name for themselves, I think in time, if you worry about the one, it'll take care of the other, if you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So, it's all about the fit, right? It's all about the fit, making sure they want to be here and really want to wear that power tee. So,
Yeah, absolutely. But that's going to wrap us up for today. As if you missed the first part of the episode, go back and watch. We had a fantastic interview with Eric Boggs of the OHIO podcast, talking about the College Huddle that officially launched this past week. Check out the College Huddle at thecollegehuddle.com. Skylar, do you have anything else before we close out today?
No, man, just go Big Orange, and let's get ready for the rest of the baseball season and get ready for some football, man.
Absolutely. So, guys, appreciate you tuning in. Join us again next week. Go Big Orange.
I'm a ball for life, y'all. I bleed orange and white, y'all. I will till I die, y'all. I'm a ball for life, yeah. Raised up on John Ward, giving 6 in the checkerboard till I'm gone. Go Big Orange.